Welcome, everybody, to the San Antonio Realty Pros podcast. I really hope you guys enjoy this upcoming episode. We intend to bring you guys the best real estate content possible, and you never know, you might learn a thing or two. So sit back and enjoy the show.
I've been talking to a franchise company that's about to start working on franchising Swiss Style properties. And we also have Swiss Style Offers, which is the acquisition side. But Swiss Style Properties is more dispositions and JV partners.
Is that your company?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
And then, but Swiss Style Offers is like the lead generation part. And so we're also focused on commercial. And when we find the commercial lots and the houses or the houses that fit the communal or Airbnb, then that's when I come in and I'll buy it. Like I did find out one out in Northern Hills. Y'all know that area.
Right.
I got it for $136 and I'm taking over the mortgage. Didn't even have to put any money down. And no reinstatement or anything. And nice. I just had to pay the closing costs. So, of course, I'm buying that one.
Right.
You know, like, I'll just rent that one out. But I just know over time that's a great area. And for the price that I got it for, it does need some repairs. But still, it's a livable house.
Not $100,000, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, it depends on the deal. But, like, I know that I could also Airbnb that out. And or I can rent it out and at least have it pay for itself because that's a nice area. I can get qualified, nice tenants. It's not like 78207, you know.
Right. So solid.
Yeah. So like I was talking with Mitzi earlier. Like I saw a lot of her stuff on Facebook, and I was like, man, I'm always seeing what she's doing, and I thought it was interesting. You know, when I first got into real estate, I was like, man, I want to do some wholesale deals on the side, but I think what I've found is I've got to split. You either go one way or the other, right? You got to either focus on wholesale deals altogether because it takes up a lot of time, and that's probably why you got such a big team. So I'm interested in the wholesale part of it, and I think the reason why I wanted to bring it on the podcast is like I think people don't understand enough about what wholesaling is and what is attached to it, and so I wanted to bring her in and like, hey, why don't you just tell us everything you know about? Well, not everything, because that could probably be like, a month-long episode. But yeah, I just wanted to bring her in, and just to introduce you, Mitzi Dyane is how you spell it, right? I mean, not how you
say it,
say it. But I was looking at the thing. I was like, is it Dane or Diane? But then I heard you on podcasts and saying the stuff all the time, and she does a lot of live videos, which I like because I'm always like trying to figure out what she's got going on because she's like everywhere. Like she's in Houston and all these other places. I'm like, where the heck is she at today? You know, you never know.
It's Mitzi, right?
Yeah, I'm like, man,
you need to get a trench coat and a hat and be like Carmen Sandiego.
Exactly. Where in the world is Mitzi Dyane? So I put your thing on. I don't know if you saw that or not, but every time we have somebody come in, we welcome them in, and
that's awesome.
So welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, guys.
Thanks for coming. It's always nice to try and get all the different aspects of real estate for everybody, because not everybody's all about this and not everybody's all about that. Some people have knowledge about this and not that. So appreciate you helping us to be more well-rounded.
And some people just have like the wrong information about certain fields or certain groups of people. Like sometimes wholesalers, they have a negative connotation, like being like sleazy or snaky or something like that. And I understand where it's come from, but we actually have a service that is very valuable. And a realtor, like you guys have y'all's services. And whenever I find a house that's retail, I'm going to pass that on to a realtor. But if somebody's got title issues, they need to sell like right now. They're going to foreclosure in 3 days. Right. Or we're pretty much a pawn shop for houses. Yeah. And like some people just need a pawn shop to go. They know that they're getting their products at a discount. But they need the cash right now. Right.
Yeah.
And
it's my money and I want it now. That's J.G. Wentworth.
Yeah. So that's the kind of services we offer. Is we're a pawn shop for houses. And if that's the service that you need, we're here for you. Or if you have if you're a tired landlord that's tired of having to deal with tenants that you're having to evict and everything else, and you know what, we're here to help you out. And we can get creative. At realtors, you guys help them buy and sell. You can't get really creative like we can. Right. We can be like, hey, how about you take $1,550 a month for the next 5 years? We'll cash you out after that, and you just start talking about what their problems are. That's the kind of services we offer as wholesalers. Yeah. But a lot of them don't think like that. They're just like, I'm going to get it for the lowest amount. I'm going to go sell it to an investor and be in and out. And I get that. That's definitely a good model to go for the investors and everything. But when you're looking at win-win like my company does, we're there for the sellers and we're there for the buyers. But we're looking for the right buyer for the properties that we did get. Right. And there's all types of buyers out there. So it's like, that person going through foreclosure, we're not going to be like, yeah, you just need to go through foreclosure. We're going to try to see if we can find somebody, and we just tell them we got investors. Let's see if we can, partner you guys up and connect you, or I buy the houses too.
Yeah. So with Swift Sell, how long have you been doing it as kind of like the company that it is now? Have you been doing Swift Sell properties for a while, or did you just kind of start out doing wholesale deals and just kind of fell into like, okay, I'm going to make a huge company out of this? Because what you've got going on it's pretty big. I mean, you got a bunch of people working for you, right?
Well, so I've had a bunch of people, but I've done a lot of firing sprees. So now I've got a sales director, I've got my assistant, got 3 acquisitions people, but 2 of them are like more remote. Okay. And then I've got 3 VAs. And then a dispositions person.
Okay. Wow.
What's a VA?
Virtual assistant.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Awesome.
That's a lot cheaper, right? Doing the virtual assistants.
Yeah.
But you kind of get what you pay for with that, or is that not really the case?
Yes and no. It's about how you treat them also. Make them part of the team. Add them into the culture. Treat them like a person. Give them incentives too, and really put your time into them when you find a good one. Right. And they're just like people you hire here. Sometimes they can work harder.
Well, I was going to say, because a lot of times they're from Philippines, and those people got work ethic. I'll tell you something. Mm-hmm. That's why they do so well. A lot of times, like you can go on. I don't know if you found yours on Fiverr or whatever, but you can go on Fiverr and find anybody to do any type of job that you want, and they're typically, from what I see, they're not in the United States. And which is good because the conversion rate's really well. The dollar amounts are cheaper there. So, so after you do, like, can you go through the process of like what your typical acquisition is like? Like, do you guys are farming an area, or you guys like, how do you come up on your deals, and kind of where does it go?
Do you want me to start like how I got started in Swiss Sell Properties? So I actually was wanting to learn how to flip houses. Okay. And I found a mentor, and he told me he would teach me how to flip houses. And I had no idea what wholesaling was. So I hired him, spent my last $5,000, hired him, and he was an attorney, real estate attorney. So I was like, cool, he's going to teach me everything how to do it legit. And after he trained me on everything I already knew. So I was a little upset, but it put a fire under me. So I got to appreciate the whole process. And then he also talked a lot because like I helped him get successful or I was successful. So he talked on that. So it helped his mentorship. So that was April 7th, 2016 is when I met him.
Oh, okay.
And then I got within 23 days, I got my first deal making $50,000.
Wow.
And then got a little bit of an ego,
Everybody.
Yeah.
First time go, right?
New Mercedes.
I'm like Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
So it took me 5 months to get my next lead because I just had that ego going on, and I didn't keep my lead generation going on. I went on vacation, went shopping, and 5 months later, I was almost running out of money, and I was like, "Oh crap! What am I doing wrong? What am I doing?" Yeah. So I started listening to my recordings of my cold calling, and I realized I wasn't hitting on all the opportunities. So then I got my second deal within 5 months. So my first 6 months, I made over $100,000. And I was like, you know what? This may be something that I can do. Yeah. I was like, I think I can do this. Right. And I hadn't started a company yet. I was just seeing if I could make it happen.
Right.
And then I went ahead and after that, they started rolling in more. And I started getting known because attorney had started talking about me to other people. So other people were like, can you tell me about how you did this and all that? And I was like, okay. So then people were wanting to start like having me mentor them. I'm like, I'm not at the level to mentor.
Right.
I can't teach you. And guys, don't mentor or don't. And people who go to other people are like, you got 2 deals. Can you mentor me? I'm like, what are you doing?
Like, you don't even know what you're doing.
That's why I look in the MLS when I'm working with realtors, and I'm like, man, you've been in real estate for like 6 years, and you average like 4 deals a year. Mm-hmm. You know, that's kind of amateurish. So yeah. So
I was like, why don't y'all just join my team and just help me out? Right. And from there, I think 8 months into the business, I got my name. And actually, it was because I didn't know what name to go for. And if you listen to my stuff, I'm all about law of attraction and like being open and receptive. And I was there like eating some cereal, and on my table, I was redoing the flooring in my house, was Swift Lock flooring. And it said Swift Lock. And I was like, Swift Sell. Mm-hmm. And I was like, thank you.
Boom.
And I was like, Swiss Sell Properties.
Yeah.
And I wrote that down. I was like, all right, LLC it.
Yeah, no kidding.
I claimed it. And then I got like an Investor Carrot website, got me some cards. But I had already made over $100,000 before I started doing that. Like, I see people do that before they've even made any money. I'm like, dude, just make sure it even works out for you.
Right.
Like
you got to test the hypothesis and make sure that it comes through.
And the way I look at it is most people are like getting married before they even bother to date.
Right.
Like,
it happens.
Check it out.
Some cultures are like that. Your virtual assistants may be like that.
Yeah.
Right.
They're like, my parents told me that we have to marry. So
they gave you a goat.
Do this. Yeah.
Here's 2
Here's
goats.
your dowry.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So how I did it, like my very first deal. So I walk it through the process.
Yeah.
I actually was driving for dollars, and that's my favorite lead source still to this day.
Can you explain to everybody what driving for dollars is?
Yeah, so it's whenever you
know.
Yeah.
Oh wait, wrong dollar.
Different dollar.
Oh, my bad.
So you drive around, and I actually have some kind of target. So I pull the code violation list, and then I go after those houses. And some people are like, "You don't have to drive for dollars. You already got the list." I'm not going really for the code violations.
Right.
I'm going for the golden nuggets along the way,
right?
That not everybody else knows about.
You never know what you're going to run across. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, and those are my golden nuggets. And so I'd write those things down. I've created like a Google form, so I don't have to have like Deal Machine or any other thing to cost money. So but Deal Machine's awesome, and Propelio is awesome too. But I did a Google form just to keep it cheap, and I was doing everything off Google Sheets as a CRM.
Yeah. David's an Excel expert.
Yeah, you can do some amazing things with it.
Yeah.
You just need to
He's
learn how
way
to
better
use
than
Excel.
me. I can't even begin. Like I can, very
you can do
rudimentary stuff.
macros
Yeah.
and pivot tables and all
He's
sorts
got
of
all
cool
of our
things.
books like on Excel. Like he doesn't even use QuickBooks. He's like, I hate this.
Yeah, QuickBooks is a waste of time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can import all the invoices right to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see people even with like magnificent CRMs still, like if they know how to use Excel, they still continue using Excel for different like data research and everything. So I like Rafael Vargas, one of my coaches, he does that. But
suck it.
Right.
Yeah. So like I created a form that automatically went to a Google Sheet, so I didn't have to input it when I got home.
Right.
And I would like just address, zip code, picture, notes. Like, is it boarded up? Whatever. And it was very simple, 4 things. And I would just stop, enter that information, go on. And so by the time that I would drive for dollars. Actually, I didn't know about Road Warrior. There is a app that optimizes your route now. But I used Google Maps. I would get up at 6:30 in the morning. I would map out my route. It'd take me about an hour.
Like
to
put all the stops in there.
Yeah, I'm like trying to optimize it, making sure I'm not wasting my time. And then I'd drive in the order that I would, had it put. And then I would drive at least 40 houses, and it would take me between 2 to 4 hours, just depending on the zip code and how close together they were. Mm-hmm. But I always had a goal to at least hit 40 houses. Now, along the way, sometimes you haven't even gotten down to 5 houses on your list, and you've already got 40 extra houses that are driving for dollar houses. And if you're done, you go ahead and time block your time and just drive the rest of those other houses the next day.
Yeah.
But go home, and I would make sure that I started driving about 9:30, 10 o'clock, so traffic was already done. Don't drive during traffic.
Right.
Just a waste of your time. And so if I had mapped it out and it wasn't 9:30 yet, I would actually start adding in ads on Craigslist, looking at Facebook. I'd be starting to build my buyers list by just scouring ads and on Facebook of other people posting deals.
Right. But you block that time, you stick to the time block. That's something that's super important.
Well, and when you start getting deals in, you have to be priority management at that point. If somebody's waiting on a contract and you're like, no, time block, it's cold calling. No, freaking send out that contract.
Right, yeah.
That's your revenue.
Yeah.
That's the whole point you're doing everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I would get back home before lunch. And or if I had to go through till 2:00, I would, and then I'd get back. I'd go before 3:00 because then that traffic starts back
for
up
sure.
again.
Yeah, school's letting out. Trouble.
And then I would go ahead and look at the Google sheet, start people searching them. I have a little people search checklist now, but I would start people searching them. And while I'm people searching them, I'd be adding the phone number while I'm calling it. And then I would strike through it if it was a bad number.
Right.
At first, I wasn't writing down the numbers, but I realized I need to do that because when I started checking out other people searching websites, I would be calling the same number and wasting my time. So I can just verify, that's the same number. I'm not going to call that again. And then I would write notes beside the ones that are good. And write a note called twice, text once. And so I'd always call twice, text once, or I started doing that because I realized people will answer if you call twice because they realize you're not a telemarketer.
Right back to back? Yeah, I've seen that too.
And then I would text them, and I would only text their first name.
Right.
And a question mark. And that way you leave it mysterious. I don't text a whole paragraph. Hey, I'd like to make you an offer, blah, 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 blah.
You want to get them to engage you.
Yeah, then I know it's the right number.
Yeah.
And so then, go from there. The next day I would do the same thing. And over time it starts building up. So then really it's just now you need to start focusing. Once you have 100 houses, focus on the top 25.
Right.
And try to really find those people. And when I do people searching, I would call them that day, text call notes. Then I would do the same thing the next day. And if they didn't answer still or respond, I wrote them a handwritten letter, which I would just write on a sheet. And then I would do yellow notepad, put it in a printer, and I'd write it in blue ink. And then I would copy to color on there.
Oh, okay.
And I'd print out 20 of them just saying, hi, drove by your house and I was interested in purchasing it. If you're interested in an offer, please let me know. If not, didn't mean to bother you. Thank you and have a great day.
Right.
And thanks, Mitzi. And then my phone number, please text. You can call or text me anytime. And then I even started adding my email on there, and I did have people who would just email me.
Yeah, because they did not want to talk to you on the phone.
Yeah, and they didn't want me having their phone number, so they didn't want to text me either, so that I wouldn't call them.
Right.
So that's just a little tip there.
Just
in
throw
case.
the email in there no matter what. Mm-hmm. I like it.
Yeah, and do not put your company email. You do not want people having your company, because if they're a litigator, the sad part is anybody can sue you.
True. Yeah, that's true.
So don't put your company name and put a Google Voice line in there. Don't put your company address on there. Don't put a P.O. box. Don't put your home address on there.
Right.
So that's just little tips I learned the hard way.
Gotcha.
So I would handwrite them and then send that to them. If after 2 days I still hadn't gotten a response or anything, I would actually look in people search and see if I could find 2 relatives, like a husband or wife to them, and then maybe a child that's 20, 30 years younger than them. If they were 20 or 30 years younger and they were 60, I'd look for them on Facebook. And then I would Facebook message them and friend request them, because if they don't, now it's message request on Facebook. Back then there wasn't. So, and So if you're not an attractive person, maybe do a fake Facebook profile with an attractive woman on
Kim
there.
Kardashian sending me a message.
For real, if it's a guy that you're texting, even if it's a woman, they're going to be more receptive to another woman.
Yeah.
Not some, guy that just like
some random.
Yeah.
So you need Ben Affleck.
Hi, you very pretty.
Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so have them respond. And then I've gotten deals off Facebook Messenger that way. So also, if you have their phone number by calling from your phone and you download Snapchat to your phone, if they're on Snapchat and their phone is in Snapchat, it'll pull up as a friend.
Oh, wow.
And so you could even find somebody who may even be in Snapchat that way as well. And then, you can check out LinkedIn. There's something called Rocket Reach. I think it's a Chrome extension where you put the person's information, their email in there. Like True People Search is free. It'll show you their emails. And then you put that into Rocket Reach. And I found this all just by stumbling across it. It'll pull up their LinkedIn account. And like any accounts that's associated with that email.
That's cool.
Yeah, and you can do that even with Facebook with their email. So you can see, like, do they have a Facebook account?
Right.
And more people are getting Facebook or on LinkedIn. And then the younger crowd is more on Instagram and Snapchat.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at people search, like, where are these people going to be? If they're the older generation, maybe more on LinkedIn than they're probably not going to be on Snapchat or Instagram.
Right, they'll be Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook or LinkedIn. And so you just got to think of, like, so I used to tell my team this. If you were a crazy ex and if you wanted to find this person, you take that kind of effort. Where do they work? Where do they live? Who's their best friends? Who's their relatives? Find all this stuff out. How would you find that out? Be creative. Think outside the box. And
so you're like a private eye first.
Yes, you're a private investigator.
That's
really
cool. That's a good way to look at it.
And then exactly. And then once you find that person, and you can hire a private investigator.
Right. If it's worth it to you,
Mm-hmm.
if it's a good enough, you're looking at the deal numbers and you're like, the margins on this one are really strong. I think I'll pop for a PI.
One of my clients is a certified licensed PI. So
you can be creative too. You can offer them a percentage of the deal. Like, hey, dude, you want to partner with me?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is going to close, but if we close it, what if I give you 20% or 10%? And this is what you could be looking at if we do. That'd be more money than $99 an hour or whatever you want to charge me. They may be like, you know what? I'm willing to wait to get $2,500 instead of $99.
No it's all numbers, right?
Yeah. And then eventually you may even talk them into being part of your team.
Yeah, we had an agent that interviewed with us that he's a private investigator.
Well, I wasn't even thinking about him.
Yeah. Oh, so you were talking about.
Sorry about that. Well, I have a client that's a PI too, so we have access to two PIs.
Yeah, because he's actually waiting on his time to come up for. I guess he signed a contract or something like that. But once his contract's up, he's going to come over to the team, and he's a private investigator. He has his own business, and so we'll just, hey man, give me some info on this, people. Yeah,
and so then. And I've had people who are like, oh, people who are really successful don't give all their secrets away. Man, there is too much information to give away all anyways.
Right.
But at the same time, you know how many people I've told all this stuff to and how many people have actually taken action?
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, for real. Like, I could probably give all my secrets away.
It took me 3 years to get Steven to come into real estate.
Yeah.
It took me a while. I didn't want to make the leap. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to, but I was like, I don't want to.
But so with now private investigator, now you found the person.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, okay, figuring out why do they have this house still? Like, is it a family heirloom? They're never going to sell it because it's not about the house being distressed. It's about the homeowner being motivated and distressed themselves.
Right.
Because you can be looking at a flip in Castle Hills, which is a deal that I did do. I got it for $140, and I told her she just needed to go to a realtor. I actually didn't even want to make her an offer, and she was like, "Please don't take me off your list." and I was like, "You're not going to like my offer." And she was like, "I don't want a realtor. I don't want to deal with all that." And I was like, "I'm going to have to offer you $140."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, I really think you need to go with a realtor." And she was wanting $190, and she was already giving it a discount then. And so I sold it for $165 like 2 days later, and the person just immediately put it on the market. I think they put $10,000 that they didn't have to. They were talking to a bad contractor that was just trying to get money out of them. But they just changed the paint color. Already new paint, already flipped house. Just spent money for no reason, and they made $265 off of it on the market.
Wow, that's amazing. Like that's the 140 deal would be like, when you get Open Door to come in and give them the offer. I mean, she's basically just wanting the ease of the transaction. She just wants it to be one and done. No,
cash fast.
Yeah, just done.
They were going through a divorce. She was having some heart issues, and I was like, look, I don't want to feel like you're being taken advantage of. You really should go to a realtor. You have an amazing house. Yeah. But it's not about the house being distressed. That's what a lot of people in the business don't understand. Right. Is the homeowner motivated? Because really, as a wholesaler, you're a pawn shop for houses, for real estate. You don't go into a pawn shop thinking you're going to get full value for your jewelry or anything else you're bringing in. You're getting it at a discount, but you need that cash right now. Yeah. And then we also provide other services. Like we can come up with creative solutions, like offering like owner finance things. We can get people out of, helping them with foreclosure, stop their foreclosure and work through everything. We can work through title issues, and that's things that a realtor can't do. And so, I think that realtors and wholesalers could really help each other out, make more money. Yeah. But you got to find that right wholesaler with integrity, with honesty, that works on a certain level. But realtors are the same way. Everybody's the same way.
Sure. Yeah. You got the good ones and the bad ones. And, typically what we look at ourselves is, we're problem solvers as real estate agents. But we only have a limited avenue of what we can go, right? So we can only try to find them a lender if they're buying the house and they got a problem, they can't get the house bought. We got to try to find them a house that they can buy and then get them the lending ability. And on the selling side, there's only a couple things. Like if they're facing foreclosure, we can do a short sale, but those aren't fast, processes for the most part. A short sale just means everybody's getting short on money. It's not short on time, right? So
it's usually a long sell.
Yeah, so it's like we can help them with that. But sometimes when it's that far gone, it's already it's just too far. So with I can see where building a relationship with a real estate agent as a wholesaler, like especially if they're doing buy and holds for property management, if the the wholesaler doesn't want to manage the property. We just teamed up with an investor here. What was it, yesterday? He finally said we're going to get the go ahead.
Yeah. 2 days ago.
Getting 5 more properties that this guy, he doesn't want to mess with them anymore. And so we have those abilities to team up with investors and wholesalers to make sure, like, if you're buying a property and you're going to flip it, you're going to need a strong agent to know the area, know the comps, know the numbers, and say, hey, look, I don't know what you plan on putting in this house, but here's the top of the market. You want to go crazy? Go ahead. But this is where it's going to sell, and this is when it's going to sell. And that's something that we try to do. I was working with a investor guy that buys and flips houses, but I kind of cut my relationship ties with him because it's a time sucker. It's like, I don't work for you specifically. We want to work together. And if it's costing me more time and I'm not getting anything out of it, I'm just going to walk away. So it's kind of...
Well, it's always going to be a value add, win-win situation.
And David actually came up with a really good idea that I'm going to start implementing if I work with just straight investors is, put them on a retainer. Like, hey, look, give me we'll just say $1,500. I'll start working for you, and then I'll reimburse you back at closing on a deal that you let me list or whatever. But I need some money up front to show me that, like earnest money, basically. Like, I just need something up front to show that you're ready to go.
Attorneys do it all the time.
Yeah, so it's like, I didn't really think about that. I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. But that weeds out all the BS, right? That's like, once I had some people call me from Austin once, and they were like, hey, we're looking for a local real estate agent in San Antonio to help us find deals. And I was like, here's the deal. And I told him the $1,500 deal. And he was like, okay, we'll get back with you. Never got back with me.
Well, and I understand why, because there are a lot of realtors who are not that great,
right?
Who think they're great.
Sure.
And so I actually did this realtor challenge, like, just to see who would say, who would do it. And the only one who didn't talk the talk,
right,
who actually came back to me with net sheet listings, his marketing plan, all of that. I hired that guy while everybody else was still talking about how amazing they were.
Right. It's like, did you see my numbers last year? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
My team has 28 people on it. We can do anything. And I'm like,
sold 40 houses.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
What are you going to do for me?
Yeah. Show me the work. Show me what you're going to, show me the plan. Like I'm going to propose a problem. You give me the solution. We'll go from there. So.
Yeah. And I actually hired him on the team, and he's working off salary.
Yeah, that's the one you were telling me earlier. Yeah. He was like, he was looking at the leads. He's like, oh man, maybe I should just go work for you full time. Yeah. So he actually quit his brokerage and started working for her. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and so I mean, we have plenty. What's cool about wholesaling too is, I mean, you got your driving for dollars, you're cold calling people, you have leads that come in that just don't work out as a wholesale deal or creative financing or anything. So like you can use realtors for your listings, send them over and be like, hey, this is what we can. And if you're a wholesaler with a license, you can ask for the referral fee, not just a $25 whatever or $50. I forgot how much that is, but
25.
Yeah, it's not.
State's cheap.
Yeah, it's not much. But if you have like if they list it and you have your license, you can at least make a 25% referral fee. And so I mean, you guys get leads that are hot, ready to go, and then we get something from it too. So it's a win-win,
right?
And those leads don't go to waste. And some people really hound these homeowners and try to make a deal where there's not a deal. And I'm like, don't do that to people.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me. I'd be like, dude, I'm not selling my house for that much. I'd rather list it.
That's how your phone number and email get put on various sites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we were talking about earlier. It's like these other guys that we were getting some information from is like, they would just pound the lead to dust. And there's nothing, I want to help these people, but if you can't buy it, why keep calling them every week over week over week, and then to where they almost, file a complaint against the company? Like, you're not doing any good for your company. Even if you just want to save face as, Swift Sell Properties or whatever, say, I just want to save face and leave the client alone. Don't try to get I don't know. I would say don't try to press it too hard, because these people, it turns them off.
Well, some wholesalers, they're just so hungry to get something. I mean, you don't want to be thirsty. You want to be hungry. You don't want to be starving or thirsty. But some of these guys are trying to make a deal out of every deal, and that's just stupid. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of the other people's time. Just move on and go for the low-hanging fruit, or the ones that you can make a deal out of. And you can gut it. If you listen to people, you can determine, are they truly motivated?
Right.
Are they distressed? If they're not distressed and they can hold on to that property forever and they don't care, you don't have a motivated, distressed seller.
Right.
They don't qualify as your client. Right. And if you look at your target audience, you have to understand your target audience. And I tell people, make an avatar for each person that fits in distressed and motivated. And I have 5 of them. And it's funny because almost every single one of our sellers fall underneath those 5 avatars. And if they don't, they're probably not one of our clients.
Yeah.
They're not somebody that we can help. And move on.
Your could be down the road, maybe later, but not. Just leave it alone. Just walk off.
I trained one person, and they just could not get that through. And they still only do about 2 to 3 deals a year.
Wow.
And they think they're successful.
Yeah.
But
they're ready to motivate.
Yeah.
Oh, they're mentoring. They're doing live videos.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I saw your Facebook post today, and I chuckled. I got tickled about it. I was like, oh, my God. That's a lot. You know what? That really fits the real estate agent.
Field too. I know.
Because they come in the business and they learn, they get their license, and they sell 5 or 6 houses in a year, and they're like, man, I crushed it this year. And then they're like, they're like, let's start a team. And then they're like, the people, they just don't have the necessary stuff. It's like when I first started in the car business, I started selling cars, and they always would tell the new car salespeople, hey, don't get too smart. Don't think you got it figured out in the first 2 months when you sell 5 cars or 10 cars, And they're like, oh, I know everything. I can look at a buyer and tell if they're going to buy or not. But that's the same thing with agents. They do a couple contracts. They think they already got it figured out, and they're like, 2 months later, they ain't done anything. It's like, boom, fell straight on your face.
You got to be humble. There's an energy balance, I feel. And if you let your ego get in the way, you're going to fall.
Yeah.
And just stay humble. Always be seeking out people smarter than you, realize you don't know it all. It's almost like life, like when you're a teenager, and I feel like a lot of people actually act like a teenager, like, I know it all.
Right.
I know the better way to do it. They try to reinvent the wheel, all that kind of stuff.
They want to feel important.
Yeah, and then they get out in the real world, and it just doesn't work that way. Like, now you become an adult, and then you realize, oh, okay, this is how it really works.
Yeah.
And but it does take some falling on your face, though.
Yeah.
At times, like, even if the system is there for you, even if you've got mentors and coaches helping you out along the way, sometimes some of us have to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
But there's things that just happen that you just have to experience, just like life. And you fall, and then you have to just get back up. And those are the people I like to surround myself with. The people who've had some falling downs and getting back up. And
that guy right there would be somebody.
Yeah.
Like last year, no matter what he did right, stuff would always fall down. And I'm like, look at this. You're looking at. Make sure you look at it through the right lens. Like, you're learning all the mistakes in 1 year that it takes somebody a lifetime to.
Yeah. I feel like last year when I did like 21 deals last year, and I feel like I learned more in that 12-month period than I probably will ever learn, maybe. And and then I thought I had this amazing year, and then this first off part of the year this year has been super slow, and everything's been weird, and I'm like, am I falling into like this thing? But I turn around and I look at it, and I'm like, okay, education is very expensive in this business. Doesn't matter what you do. And anything to deal with real estate, like, education is very expensive. And when you make a mistake that costs you money, that's what I call education. It's like
commissionectomy.
Yeah, commissionectomies and not intuition, it's tuition, because it costs you, big time.
Well, you can either pay for it with having to learn the hard way, or you can like hire a coach or have somebody that can help you along the way. And I took the coach route.
Right.
Now, I did waste money along the way hiring the wrong one, so then I learned how to vet people. Now, when I see people doing what I was doing, like, oh, you look like you're doing something, can you help me out? Yeah. Here's my money.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, how many deals are you really doing?
Right.
How much do you really know? And like, because there's a lot of people, they got the ego, they got 2 deals down, and they're like, yeah, who wants me to answer their real estate questions today?
Right. Well, I think
I'm just oh no.
Yeah, I think a lot of people
starting a podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, they see that success, and then they really want to be somebody that people can lean on, but the truth of the matter is like, you're never going to know enough, right, in order to be like some kind of crazy mentor, unless you've spent tons of money, obviously, learning the business. Like, you probably spent lots of money, from coaching and stuff like that.
Over $150,000.
Yeah, so it's education is very expensive, and I think that people try to shortcut that route because they have a little bit of mild success, and they just don't. The cliche is that people don't know what they don't know, and that's true. And I just feel like I'm always learning something. Like, I've been in this. I'm trying to get my GRI designation, and so it's also a requirement in your first 2 years of real estate to get 90 hours of SAE, and then you got to do some other classes. But just learning, like, you going back through this stuff, like the GRI class, it's like a lot of it's stuff that you already know, like you learned in your real estate licensing classes, but it's just expounding on all those topics. And I just keep learning like so much. And we got 60 something people in our class yesterday, and you hear so many stories from all these people with their experiences, and I felt like I picked up a bunch of more knowledge, and I think surrounding yourself, that's the reason why I reached out to you mainly, is because I want to surround myself with people. And that's what we do with this podcast, is we bring on the people that are in the industry that have to do with real estate, and we try to seek out the ones that we want to be around, and we interview them, and we just talk with them, and we build relationships with those people. And I think it's important, to surround yourself with top-notch people, because what do they say? It's your network is your net worth, or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I just try to reach out to as many people that I feel are top class people, and I want to learn as much. I'm like a sponge. I'm just trying to learn it all.
Yeah, I love networking for that reason, and masterminding, because I mean, you can hire coaches. That's awesome and everything. But there's something about having a mastermind with people who are smarter than you and have been in business longer than you, that you just, like you said, be a sponge and just absorb it all, because like they're dropping nuggets the whole time, and they may not even realize they're nuggets the whole time, and you're just like, what,
pen and paper. You're like,
what did you Easter basket?
So can you rewind that?
Just record that entire conversation.
Yeah,
and because like it's little things like knowing about Road Warrior.
Right.
I didn't know about that for a whole year and a half, and I was spending at least an hour and a half every morning wasting time.
Wow.
A little app that I could have known about. Like, there's so many apps out there that if you just knew about that, or knew about this software, or if you knew about, oh, you don't have to do this, you can just do this, really simple. Like, it cuts like so much time out, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Mind blown.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like they just dropped that nugget like it wasn't anything, and you're like, oh. But I've also noticed that unless you've paid for education, somebody could drop all the nuggets that they want, but you may not value it because they haven't put a value on it.
Right.
And so I actually had to even like give me $500, you know.
Yeah, you have to have something for your time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because that equal energy exchange, without it, well, first off, we all have friends, family, people we could be spending our time with.
Right.
And then our business, our team. And so if somebody's like, hey, can I pick your brain? It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why should I spend my time with you? Are you even going to use the information I give you?
Right.
And I would be giving all these nuggets to people who just wouldn't do anything with it. And then I was like, well, what if I actually start charging for my time?
Yeah.
I told one person, they were like, hey, can I meet you for coffee? And I had people I was meeting for coffee. I've quit doing that now, unless they also have some value to offer me too. But like, I would meet people for coffee, and then they wouldn't pay for my coffee. And I'm like, that was like $5, and I just gave you all this time. That's bullshit.
It was only $5 too. We're like,
it's fine. We're not PG rated.
Yeah, and then I would have people like, yeah, let's go to lunch, and then they'd be like not eating lunch, and I'm eating lunch because they're so broke, and I'm like, dude. Listen to some podcasts and listen to some YouTube videos. Yeah. You don't need to be wasting my time.
Right. It could be worse. They could have invited you to lunch and they give you the bill.
Yeah. Oh, I've had people rush out and been like, hey, I gotta go. And then I'm like, what just happened?
No, that's such bad business.
And then, and I'm like, that's why you're not making it in this business. You don't know how to add value.
Right.
You know, and add some kind of value. Right. If you're going to take something from somebody, add some value too.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's unbelievable. Somebody dips out.
I'll be right back. I'll go to the restroom. 30 minutes later, like.
Yeah, it's a good thing we drove separate cars.
Right.
Yeah.
Or do we?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man.
It's usually that guy that's like, yeah, I'm taking care of my mom.
Yeah.
Living at her house.
Exactly.
In her basement.
Got to take her car back to her. She needs to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Good go.
Yeah, but you know, it really, I'm always willing to offer people value, but I also want to make sure they've got that potential to actually use it. Yeah. And so people will find a way if they see the value. And if they really are the type to make it successful and make use of it, they will find a way to find that $500 or that $1,000, that $2,000. Yeah. They will find a way. And then you already know they're the right person anyways to give that value to.
Right. Yeah, I think, people that want to come on to somebody's team and stuff like that and like, hey, I want to, can you teach me everything you know? And we were, there's a statistic that somebody said in the class yesterday. She's like, because I guess there's like a little over 12,000 real estate agents, licensed agents in the state of Texas, which is a lot for.
Yeah.
In San Antonio.
Oh, in San Antonio. In Cibolo. Sorry. I think there was like 40-something thousand or something like that for the whole state, right? It was like 12, just over 12 in Cibolo.
There's got to be, there's hundreds of thousands
you think so?
In Texas, yeah.
But for 12,000 agents to be in the Cibolo network, right, there's like only, what was it, the percentage of the show? It was a small single digit
in your
number.
class, so I don't know the stats.
Well, you knew the stat from the, when you did your numbers last year, remember you said you were in the top 3% of the top whatever from NAR.
Yeah, it was from NAR. NAR put out like, hey, if you're doing X amount of deals, you're within this percentage and stuff like that. Yeah. And I was in the top like 3% of agents in the nation transaction wise.
Right.
And I think that those numbers are skewed because there's a lot of agents, at least here in San Antonio, that they have a team, but they make everybody do their transactions underneath that license number.
Right.
Because like I tried out for the Platinum Top 50 because I'm like, man, I've done all this, and if I'm in the top 3%, how can I not be in the top 50 in San Antonio, right? Well, then the list comes out, and I see it, and it's all these like teams or these one particular agent that has like 8 people on his team, and they're doing just barely more than what I'm doing, and I'm by myself. But because that agent or that broker requires everybody to do everything underneath their license, on paper it looks like they're doing a lot. But when you really look, so then I was like, I ain't worried about the platinum top 50 now because it's skewed. It's not true. It's just because you had to fill in all this stuff to when you applied for it, and I thought, man, this is like legit. Like you got points for designation. I had like 7 designations. I'm like, and I see people that got like 2, and I'm like, and then I look and I go into and I'm seeing stuff, and I'm like, nah, this is. It looks good for them, right? They can be like, oh, I'm in the top 50,
right.
And then I look at it and I'm like,
it's when I look at teams, huge teams. And she was saying, to get back to the percentage thing, she was saying that like only like 10 or 15% of the agents in San Antonio do 80% of the deals.
Yeah. It's almost like the 20-80
I was like, holy crap,
rule.
I didn't even think about that.
Well, even in wholesaling, people are like, there's so many wholesalers now. I'm like, yeah, but there's like 5 doing something.
Right.
I could name the top like people in San Antonio. Now there's some people that fly under the radar, you know, they do that. But I really feel like people some people are like, oh yeah, you know, I fly under the radar and I do well. I'm like, you know how much better you would be doing if you marketed yourself?
Right. Because you're really selling yourself as a brand.
Did you go to business school?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I went to business school, and what I've learned, the more you market yourself, the more you make money.
Yeah.
And you got to tell people. I know, right?
I got to tell Coke that.
What? I know. Could you imagine if Coca-Cola was like, yeah, we fly under the radar.
Yeah. We just have good soda.
We're
It's
so
called
cool.
Sam's Choice. Sam's Choice.
That's the fly under the radar people. You want to be Sam's Choice and Dr. Pibb.
Yeah.
You know?
No, Dr. Thunder, right?
Yeah, Dr. Thunder.
Yeah, that's the Walmart one, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I don't understand. Like you're building yourself as a brand, and you got to build the brand first. You got to brand yourself.
If you're building a business.
Yeah, and that's kind of what, when we started, we didn't really go crazy with trying to figure out a name. We went crazy on the bottom part. Like the Karis Randolph kind of came naturally,
right.
but the Signature Property Group thing, it took us a couple weeks to kind of nail it down because we're like, well, we don't want to be the Karis Randolph team or the whatever.
Because our goal was to eventually open up our own office. And we were like, well, let's just start trying to market ourselves now and take the next year or two and already do the marketing ahead of time. So when we switch, there's not a difference. And with Trek, if you're a team, it has to end in team or group. And so that's why there's the group there, because we had already had all of our signs made up. We did everything, and it had the Signature Property Group. And we went with our colors are black and silver because we wanted to have like a luxury feel to
Spurs
it.
Nation.
And so we wanted to kind of go with a signature brand, right? Yeah. And that's kind of how we came up with a Signature Property Group. Yeah. I think we're going to start doing some DBAs and breaking it down a little bit. Like we do property management too, but I think we're going to call it the Karis Randolph Portfolio, and then just kind of do some other things, but keep it key on that.
What's cool is when you start a business, it does start having sub segments underneath there, and like I think that people need to have strategy. Don't just start wholesaling just to wholesale. Now, if you want to just see if you can do it and you like it, yeah, do that. Right. Figure it out. Do I like it? Now, do you want to start a business in it? What's your strategy? And like mine was, I wanted a business. And when I started like building a team and building a business, I even had people who were like, oh, you're not going to make it if you don't work in it. And I was like, but that's not a business. That's me owning my job.
Right.
And that's me being self-employed. Yeah. And I'm more wanting to be a business owner and investor.
Yeah.
And like a true investor, not like some people are like, I'm a real estate investor, but they work every single day in the office. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, I'm a real estate investor. And they're like, I'm above a wholesaler. And I'm like, get over yourself.
It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, I'm an investor
like
too.
A janitor or an industrial engineer, right?
Yeah. I'm like, come on. But most wholesalers, when they start are into the business side, they're also investor minded. Yeah. Like they have that entrepreneurial mind. They're looking for different kinds of income. So if you look at a wholesaler who's thinking business minded, for a real estate investor to be like, I'm a real estate investor, you're a wholesaler. Come on.
Yeah. We both own properties, right?
Yeah, I own properties. I do flips. I have rentals. Okay. But I mean, it's not about like competing with people. It's like, what is your strategy? What are you trying to do?
Yeah.
And my strategy is different than a lot of other wholesalers where I'm trying to go. And so don't lose, sight of your lane and where you're trying to go because somebody else is doing something over here. Mm-hmm. Like you've got to stay focused and figure out what strategy is this. Like I kind of poked fun in the thing that I posted today and said, the podcast level is like, I think level 5 or level 6.
It was level 5 or 6. Like I'm going to start a podcast.
Yeah. And like really, I do podcasts, but I want to be a motivational speaker. I want to talk about law of attraction. I want to talk about how to live your desired life.
Right.
And
you begin to do yoga stuff too, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm a yoga teacher.
You like to have the full.
Yeah, I've got so many certifications. Yeah. I'm a freaking nerd.
Yeah, it was impressive.
So, if I get into anything, I dive into it.
Right, that's awesome.
And so like now I'm looking at it like I can mix all of this stuff, the real estate along with the yoga. I can do yoga meditation retreats for real estate investors, help people de-stress. Like there's different things like you know how you got these different bubbles, I'm good at this, I'm good at this. And where it comes together is like your little specific spot that not everybody, it's your niche. Not everybody has those kind of skills that cross over. Mm-hmm. And like, you've got to like look at yourself and be like, what other values do I have to offer people and how can I have a competitive advantage and where am I really trying to go? Am I just trying to be like everybody else? Well, you've got to have a competitive advantage. Even if you are trying to do what everybody else is doing, what makes you special? Yeah,
you got to be able to compartmentalize the successful portions and say, okay, this one is more valuable here. This one's more valuable here. We're going to put these together. Is that what you're? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I get that. It makes perfect sense because if you're not passionate about something that's successful and you're not passionate about it, you think you're going to spend more time on something that you are passionate about, even though there's something going on over here that's kind of, this is great. But if I've got 4 other things that I'm really...
Where your passions cross over, like mine is yoga, meditation, wellness, along with real estate. So I'm actually taking my company into going towards that route, along with also the wholesaling for lead generation. Right. There's so many ways that I could go with this, but I have my strategy of the way that I'm going with it. And, I posted about a yoga meditation retreat for high-level real estate investors.
I saw that, and I was like, wow, I don't know about the yoga part, but the place looked amazing. I was like, I don't even know if I can make it there.
Yeah. You guys got pizza?
Yeah. Dude, it looks amazing. Like, it's on a little island.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like,
but I crossed over my 2 passions and I'm able to come up with something that not everybody else is doing. Yeah. And that's where like you really get those business owners that really create something. Yeah. And that's what I'm about. Like I'm not just a wholesaler. Yeah. I'm an entrepreneur. Right. And you're going to see me going into different avenues and all of that. But the first thing to do is realize, what are you? Are you the idea person? Are you the implementer? Or, what are you best at? And make sure you stay in your lane and let everybody else do their part where they're best at.
And that's why we're good with each other, because where his weaknesses are my strengths and vice versa. And that's why we kind of partnered up together, because tech, I can turn my phone on, I can text and stuff like that, but he's a nerd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have the technology stuff. I love it.
And where he lacks an experience or working with Excel or PowerPoint, that's my strength. So we balance each other off very well. We're like yin and yang. We're like the little pendulum balls.
My coach blew my mind the other day. He actually said, this isn't just a people business. It's a technology business.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how a lot of things have turned. Every business should have a part of technology just because everybody's online now. Right. Yeah. Things like it's not about you owning something, it's you controlling it, like Airbnb and like rental, all this stuff. Like if you look at Netflix, like everything, like they're taking over by being technology. Yeah. And taking advantage of that because that's where everybody is now. Yeah. But I was just thinking something about the way we were going, like being good at what because in every business, you have people who want to give you advice, unsolicited advice, and tell you, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, you should be doing this. But they don't even understand your strategy. Yeah. They don't know your strengths. They don't know you. And they're just
not
like...
even in the business.
Some are not even in the business. Yeah. You shouldn't be doing that. Yeah. Exactly. I had somebody tell me, I wanted to open up this retail shop, but my uncle told me I shouldn't. And I said, is he in that business? And they were like, no. And I was like, why are you even listening to him?
Right.
I mean, come on.
I think that's a bad idea.
I would be scared to do it.
Yeah,
so
man, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, and it's like, if they're not supporting you, don't listen. Yeah. Understand that people are doing it probably because they care. And then some people may just be ego and they just like to tell people what to do. Yeah. Whatever it may be, but don't lose sight of where you're trying to go. So if you want to do wholesaling, and like I'm on this podcast right now, knowing you're a realtor, and one of my strategies is to, get this out, but also I'd love to start working with realtors and increasing y'all's amount that y'all are making by being your feet on the ground and seeing how can we help each other. Right. I can pass on my retail listings to you guys. I have plenty. I have hundreds, and then, or about 150 right now, but it just keeps on increasing every single day. And then I have, you guys could get pocket listings, or y'all could have somebody who's like about to go through foreclosure. They need to buy the house right now, that's how we can help each other as realtors and wholesalers. Some of them, there's people who have gotten a bad name. Wholesalers may have gotten a bad name, or realtors sometimes have a bad name.
We get it too. It's on both sides of the sphere.
But the people who work with integrity, honesty, are just high ethics, morals, and actually are there to help the client. Why not combine forces and be like a big synergistic? Let's make it happen. Let's help these people. I've seen realtors ride people through foreclosure because they couldn't find that end buyer, and I'm like, I'm right here.
Yeah, right.
Let me help you.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I'm not taking less than 6% or 3%. I'm like, you are ruining.
That's not in the highest and best interest.
You're getting nothing. You're getting nothing.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. If it happens like this, and then you're hurting these people, but they're not thinking like that. Right. They're not thinking in abundance. They're thinking scarcity. I got to hold it all to myself. And somebody once told me, I'd rather have a slice of a watermelon than a whole grape.
Hey, something is better than nothing.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a perfect example of as real estate agents, as realtors, we have a fiduciary duty to the client. And that fiduciary duty is that we act in the highest and best interest of the client at all times. So regardless, if I get, and I've done it before, given a whole commission away because a client needed it to close the deal, to buy the house. There was no way he was going to be able to close the loan unless myself gave up a whole commission. And David's done it too. David and I both given back to the community, huge, right? And so,
last year we gave almost
$60,000
back to our clients and community last year.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And what we're doing in that, so we're not doing it for fame or for some sort of valor or whatever the case may be. You're like to put a little pin on the wall and say, hey, look how much, because we don't write it on the wall. You don't see it anywhere in here. We tell people that because we want them to understand that we're acting in the highest and best interest of the client. It doesn't matter if we make any money or not. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, we're in a people business. We have to take care of people. And when you build a large brand, and anytime you're building a large company, the actions that you take, they kind of transcend to the next, deal, the next deal, and it begins this huge spider web, and then eventually, no corner that you can turn, it ends up being like, oh crap, those are those guys that they're the amazing people that take care of people in real estate, and it automatic association. There's a drill that you can do now. Take all the major corporations, companies, and logos, and take the names off of them, and a lot of them you can do it without color, but you see that brand image, and you can automatically associate that's Coca-Cola's or that's Target. That's what we're shooting for. It's to build a large enough brand where people we make a joke about it a lot about the KR being the next KW. Keller Williams is a huge company.
Yeah.
And that's our goal. We have clear written goals and guidelines that we want to follow. And the only way that you're going to get there is if you write it down and you actually try to.
You got to have that vision.
Yeah. Right there on my board, you can see what my goals are on the right-hand side. David and I sat in here one day in the office and hey, this is what I want to do this year. This is an attainable, I feel is attainable goal.
You know what I notice with people when I ask them, what are your goals? And I'm listening for their vision.
Right.
And I'll know where they are at by what they tell me. Exactly. If it's just purely money,
right,
you're not a business owner.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're an ambulance chaser.
We're definitely not not in the beginning because we already knew like this is going to be an expensive ride. You know, we already knew like it's going to be. It can be profitable, yes, but it's going to be an expensive learning experience. Like, you don't just go out and buy an office or something. You know, most people they tiptoe into the water. We jumped head first. Like, hey man, I don't see why not. Like we have confidence in our abilities to make sure that we can make the dream happen, and that's what we're doing. That's like,
and then the other thing that we're different is we're trying to not be in the realtor business. We're trying to be in the real estate business. Where a lot of these companies, you have a license and a heartbeat, come on in. We sit down with everybody. What is your goal? Here's where we're at. Are you like-minded? Is your customer service up here or are your needs up here?
They got to align with your core values.
Right, because if they don't, it's going to bring us down.
Yeah.
And we're not, we made that conscious decision where if somebody came in here, one, we're not going to chase them out the door. They either want to work with us or they don't. And if they aren't aligned or we don't think that they're aligned with us, they're just going to waste our time and bring us down. I'd much rather do more with less than less with more.
Even if they're like a really top rock star salesperson, I have noticed that they can taint your company and the values and everything. Because if you look at it like a big ship, everybody needs to be rowing in the same direction.
Yep.
But if you got somebody who's an excellent rower, but he's rowing over here,
or he's rowing harder than and he's out of sync with everybody.
Keep going around in a circle, right? I'd much rather have 10 people that do 8 to 12 deals a year than trying to have 12 people that are trying to do 40 deals a year. And
if they're aligned with you. Right. Yeah.
Right. Because at a certain point, like last year, I was stretched thin because I still try to provide, whether you're buying a $5,000 lot from me or a $1 million house, I try to provide everybody with the same level of customer service. And I was getting, you can ask, like last year, I was just getting more thin, and I'm like, so I was about to start passing stuff off because I felt I could not. I mean, you can only put so much bleach in water before it's fully diluted, right?
You got to delegate to elevate.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I like that.
So
nugget.
But if I have all these people trying to do that,
I got that from Carlos Reyes. Okay. I can't claim it.
But we don't want to have. We don't want to have a bunch of people in here that are trying to do too much, that they dilute their customer service.
Yeah. Well, in our typical interview process is like, traditionally in the real estate business, you go and interview the broker. Like you as an agent, like you go and pick the one that's right for you. Well, we treat that in the opposite direction too. Like we interview them. If they're not a good fit for us and we know it, we can just kind of smell it right off the bat. We're going to tell them that, hey, look, we appreciate you coming in, but I don't think you're going to be a good fit for us. Not that you're not a great agent or whatever the case may be, but we're going to turn them away, and it's not like they're just interviewing us and they're the ones that make the decision. We're making the decision too.
Yeah.
So we're getting over just an hour here, and I don't know what your timeline is, so I want to make sure that I'm respecting your time. So I don't know how much time you have left, but I'll let you tell us if this is
Yeah, I got about like maybe 5 more minutes, and then I got my next one.
We'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
We can do it again.
I think we could talk forever on all this stuff.
You can.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't have to ask him, but I'll still ask you because I'll probably forget. What's your Facebook page? Do you want to put that out?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Mitzi Dyane, MITZIDYANE. And we also have Swift Sell Properties, like Taylor Swift, SWIFT.
You're Swifty.
Yeah, I know.
They make it happen swiftly.
We're quick and smart.
Don't shake it off.
Yeah.
Good deal. So do you have like an Instagram that you guys run an Instagram?
I am starting to do that a little bit more. If you look at it, it's more my health and wellness and yoga, but it's also Mitzi Dyane, and it is associated with my website and my Facebook page, Swift Sell Properties. But we also have a website, swiftsellproperties.com. And then you're going to see our website, also swiftsselloffers.com. That's going to be fixed pretty soon.
Okay.
And then if you want to call my assistant and reach the team, it's 210-504-5124. And her name's Judy, and she's always at the office smiling, and she's awesome.
Awesome.
So if you are distressed or ready to sell a property, because that property is distressed or you're in stress, reach out to Mitzi, right? Because obviously she has some values and is aligned. She's not a used car salesman or a tire kicker. So if you're in that situation, please reach out to Mitzi and see how she can help you out.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming by.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun. Like, I really enjoyed, the hour blew by like so quick. I didn't even realize. I was looking at the time. I'm like, holy crap, it's an hour. So we're in an hour and 2 minutes. But yeah, I'd like to do this again sometime. Like, I want to stay in touch with you and make sure that we can, I know your time is like very limited, and I really do honestly appreciate you stopping in for just a short period of time you're here. But
we didn't buy you coffee, but we have some out in front.
Yeah. And just so you guys know, Mitzi's time is very limited. So just getting her on the show today was like I think it's a big deal for me, at least. I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to swing it because she was like all out of town. And
you should talk to my assistant and my sales director. They're like, can I have like 5 minutes?
Yeah.
And we'll have a meeting, but then any other time that they need to talk, it's like, okay, 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, and that's cool. You have to time block for sure. But good deal. Well, thanks for coming on the San Antonio Realty Pros podcast. I really appreciate everybody listening in today. If you want to catch our future episodes, we're on almost every single platform. I've submitted the show to iHeartRadio, so we're going to see if that one pops up. But you can catch us on every social platform at San Antonio Realty Pros, and I hope we can catch you guys in the next episode. See you later.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate it.